Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session 6. Today, we are going to continue our conversation about jobs and job market here in the UK. And as always, starting with 3 P's of success: patience, planning, and perseverance. And last week, we started talking about planning and how you can plan for your short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals, or about education and employment. Today, I'm going to continue on that topic of planning and the sort of resources that you have that can help you to have more information for planning for your education and employment. If you remember, during the last 5 weeks, we covered all these areas of higher education, further education, vocational training. Last week, we've learned about different vocational opportunities that you have here in the UK, doing a BTEC, doing NVQs, doing apprenticeship, or doing traineeship. And we learned that it could be a good plan B for everyone, but many of you may decide that it could be a plan A for you. So instead of going to university, spending a few years in university, sometimes you may decide that it's better to go to college, or it's better to go and start a vocational course and have a BTEC qualification or an NVQ qualification, an apprenticeship qualification. Because if you remember, I told you that many of these vocational qualifications, you can use them to go to university later if you decide so. So you always can use them finding a job. But if next year, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, you decide to go and do a university course, you still can use your vocational qualification to return to university. There is one extra thing that I would like to teach you or to share with you before going to the detail of career market here in the UK, and that's about teacher training. Okay, some of you may like to become a teacher or may think about becoming a teacher but don't know how. Some of you may have been a teacher in your country and would like to return to that career and to become a teacher here in the UK. And that's always a good option. So I encourage you, if you have an interest in teaching, because teaching is something that you should like it to become a teacher. Okay, if you need to, there are some jobs, well, every job you need to like it. So, but there are some jobs that you need to have that strong feeling for that job. So to become a nurse, to become a teacher, these are the kind of jobs that you need to have some personal connection and personal enthusiasm to be successful in and to enjoy those jobs. And if you have that interest, if you have that passion of being a teacher, of working with children, teaching, and so on and so forth, it's always good, and I encourage you to start thinking about becoming a teacher as an option in the future. And especially for younger ones, if you are in your 20s, early 30s, you have time, so there is always opportunities for you to learn and to start that pathway of becoming a teacher. There are some good things about becoming a teacher. Okay, so first of all, there is it's a very demanding job. Loads of job opportunities for teachers, and everywhere you go, regardless of where you live in the UK, teaching is a job that there is always vacancy for. And if you are a qualified teacher and you decide to find a job, it takes no time to find job. It starts with a good range of salary. So for newly qualified teachers in the UK, starting with 25 to 33k per year, which is a good range of payment for starting jobs. And over time, as you become more experienced, your salary gradually increases to around 50k at the current market. If you become a head teacher, so if you become like at the head of the school, your salary starts from around 50 up to 100 and above. In terms of, especially for women, and if you have family commitments, you have more time off than a normal job, and this time is paid, so you have more holidays. Like you just work for less than 200 days, and then you have around 150, 160 days on paid holiday. And there are better pension schemes for teachers. So again, if this is something that you are interested in, it's a good job. Okay, so becoming a teacher in the UK is a good choice if you are interested in, and if you would like to become a teacher, and if you are still thinking of what kind of jobs are good here in this country, so teaching and becoming a teacher is one of those jobs. So how to become a teacher in the UK? There are different ways to become a teacher. So you can go to university, like doing a course and then applying to become a teacher. But there is some teacher training qualifications and teacher training courses as well. So first of all, if you want to become a teacher, you need to decide what subject you are going to teach. Okay, so would you like to become a science teacher, history, math, geography, science, art, language? So what subject you would like to teach? I added here a link, and that link takes you to all the teaching subjects that we have here in the UK in primary and secondary schools. And then when you are decided about subject, you need to decide on the level of teaching. Do you want to work with primary school children, or working with secondary school children, or sometimes working in college post 16s, like for people in A level or those college courses? There are scholarships for people who want to become a teacher, so you don't need to pay. There are many scholarships and paid opportunities to become a teacher. And there are bursaries. I'm going to explain them later. You need to decide, as I mentioned, there are two different ways of becoming a teacher. You can go through university, doing some university courses, and then come back applying for teaching jobs, or you can start in working in a school and then going through training to become a teacher. So it's like university and vocational. Okay, that's the same thing we have for teaching. You can do a university course, you can start with working in a school, and then at the same time having the training. So you need to decide. There are different teaching qualifications, and those teaching qualifications are different in terms of the future jobs that you can apply for, and in terms of your salary, your promotion, and so on and so forth, and how long you want to train for to become a teacher. So some of those courses are just 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 3 years if you decide to go to university. One thing that I suggest you to do, even if you don't like to become a teacher, I suggest you to do some kind of a school experience. So in most of the local areas, in your local area, if you go to a school, they have some opportunities for people to volunteer, to see if they do like teaching or not. I added a link here about a school experience. Okay, if you go through that link, I'll show you later when when I finish the presentation. So you can go through a school experience. You can apply for a local school in your city, in your town, in your neighborhood, saying that, oh, I'm looking for a job. I'm thinking of becoming a teacher, but I'm not sure if teaching is something for me or not. Okay, so you can apply to have some kind of a school experience. They give you time. They give you like 1 week, 2 weeks, a month teaching experience time to go to that school to work, usually as a teaching assistant, and to work with children and to see if teaching is something that you like or not. So these are the things that you need to take into account. You need to think about and you decide when you would like to become a teacher. Subject, level, primary or secondary, and whether scholarship and bursary is available, how long you want to be trained, and do you want to do it through job training, through vocational training, or do you want to do it through going to university? There is a specific way, there is a specific program here in the UK called Get Into Teaching, okay? I added a link here. If you click on this, it takes you to that Get Into Teaching page on UCAS. If you have teaching experience from your country, that's very good. So it helps you and makes it easier for you to return to teaching. There is an assessment, so you can go through the assessment process if you click on this link. And if you are a teacher and if you have been a teacher in your country and you want to return to teaching, just feel free to speak with me and I can help you with going through the assessment process. So there is an assessment process, and there are some kind of exams and interviews and assessments, and if you are good and experienced and you can show that you're a good teacher, you can have that qualification and go back to job here. If not, you need to apply. If you don't have any teaching experience, you need to apply to become a qualified teacher, something called QTS here in the UK. So you need to have that QTS qualification, which is qualified teacher status. Every teacher here in the UK, if they teach in primary or secondary school, they have that QTS. So some people, they go to university to become to earn that QTS. Some people decide to work in a school, and then over learning and experience and training, having that QTS. Also, if you have bachelor degree from your country and you decide to become a teacher here in the UK, so you can do an MSc, you can do a postgraduate degree called PGCE. Okay, if you go to university web pages, if you go to UCAS web page, there are many universities that offer PGCE course, which is postgraduate certificate of education. It's a 1-year course. So if you have a bachelor degree in, for instance, in history or in geography from Syria or from Afghanistan, you can go to university doing a 1-year postgraduate course, PGCE, okay? And then you can use that PGCE to become a QTS qualified teacher. Or if you don't have a degree from your country and you want to start from scratch, you can go to university and do courses generally known as ITT, Initial Teacher Training. Okay, so just have these in mind. Start thinking of if you want to become a teacher or not. If you want, or if you are interested, just go through these. Postgraduate PGCE, if you have undergrad degree from your country, or if you're younger, if you don't have any qualification, university qualification, you can start thinking of doing an ITT course in university. That's like a bachelor course, okay? That's like a university qualification, but specifically for people who want to become a teacher. And then in order to start an ITT, in initial teacher training, these are the bullet points that you see here. These are the general criteria. You need to have English language level GCSE 4 or equivalent, which is about IELTS, again 6.5 or level 3. Okay, not level 1 or 2, but level 3. So you need to have higher level of language, and that's why I suggested that it could be a better option for younger ones who still have time to learn more English and then prepare themselves for teaching. Again, math and science, grade 4 or C. So these are the main criteria. You need to have some qualifications in language, in math, and in science. If you decide to become a teacher, it's very well supported and very well funded here in the UK. So you can apply for student finance like any other university courses, but there are some bursaries and a scholarship. And the difference between loan, if you have loan, and bursary or a scholarship is you need to return the loan. But for scholarships, you don't need to return them. You don't need to pay back later. So the teaching training courses are one of the few courses in the UK that you can have a scholarship and bursaries for them. Most of the time you need to pay, or you need to have a loan and then pay later. But for teaching, in order to encourage people to become teacher, there are many bursaries and a scholarship available. And many of those, especially if you decide to become a teacher through working in a school, you will be paid. It's like an apprenticeship, okay? So you don't need to pay, and they'll pay you for your role as well. I added, again, I'm not going into the detail of it, but if you're interested, these are these are the places that you can have more information about how to become a teacher. If you need more information, just let me know. We can have a discussion or conversation about whether teaching option is a good option for you or not. But make sure, again, think about becoming a teacher, because that's a good job and with good future opportunities here in the UK. Again, some more resources about teaching training courses, undergrad, postgrad, and interesting one is this one, teaching vacancies. If you go through these teaching vacancies, which means teaching opportunities available at the moment, if you want to apply for, you will see hundreds of teaching opportunities available, okay? Which means if you have the qualification, it's not that difficult to find a job. Any question about teaching before I move on to the next part?
No, sir.
As I mentioned, again, it's always good to have a plan B, okay? I understand most of you, you're planning to go to university and that's your plan A. Plan B, for some of you, BTECs, NVQs, but for some of you, it could be a good option for you to start thinking about becoming a teacher as your plan B. So especially for those of you having refugee status, probably you can start working as a teaching assistant, and then over time, in the next 1, 2, 3 years, when you improve your English, you can apply for one of those teacher training courses. Okay, you will have salary, you don't need to pay, there is less financial issues, and especially if you have family commitments, you have more time to spend with your family. Any question, just let me know now or at the end. But the second part is about UK job market. So here, I'm going to give you some more information about job market here in the UK, what kind of jobs are more demanding, and the job shortages that, or the skills shortages that we have here in the UK, the jobs of future. So what kind of jobs are going to be more successful, or what kind of professions are going to be more successful in the next 5-10 years, so that you have some ideas if you are still thinking of what to study in university, or what kind of trainings and vocational trainings to go through. So these information are going to help you to make those decisions for yourself. So first of all, I said this before, but I would like you to know this, that by 2028, so for me and for everyone else here, the retirement age is going to be at least 67. I think for many of you, for especially if you are in your 20s, 25, 28, early 30s, 32, 33, it could be 70. Okay, so for sure 67, very likely to be 70. So when it comes to planning, don't think about how many years are behind you, whether you're 25, 30, 40. Always think about how many years do you have ahead of you. Okay, always think about 70. And if you're 40, you still have 30 years. If you're 30, you have 40 years. So always think about how many years you should work here in this country, instead of thinking, oh, I'm old, it takes time to learn English, it takes time to go to university, it takes time to become a teacher. That's fine, it takes time, but it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then you have 30 years, 25 years, 35 years ahead of you to work and have a good income and have a good life. So currently, in 2020 now, it's still the same, because we didn't have massive salary increase, but average UK salary for professionals, okay, it's between 35 to 40. Okay, so, and that's the difference. If you go to university, if you learn those skills, and if you go through trainings, BTECs, NVQs, and become a professional instead of just working entry-level jobs, you can see that difference. In entry-level jobs, you start with 18,000, 20, 21, 22, and there is no progress, or there is no such big progress over time. So if you work in, I'm not sure, if you are working as a delivery driver, you work for like 18,000 or 20,000, and there is no progress in those kind of jobs. However, if you become a teacher assistant, you start with 24, 22, 20, but in a space of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time, you can go to the average 35 to 40. So always think about that difference between having a job with no qualification and having a job with qualification and experience. That makes it meaningful to go to university or go to college and study and train. And experience and qualification are equally important. Okay, so what I suggest, and in the next sessions when we talk more about working in the UK, I suggest everyone to think of education and work experience at the same time, because some people think, oh, I'm going to university, and when I finish university, I start on more work experience. However, if you don't have work experience, it will be very difficult to find job or good job opportunities after your graduation. So most of the time, employers, they want to see some people with university qualification, but at the same time, some work experience. And that work experience could be paid, could be voluntary. Okay, so if you have any opportunity to add something to your CV as work experience, whether it's paid it's part-time, it's full-time, or it's just working for free as a volunteer for an organization, for a community center, for local council, for a charity, just do it. And think of both of them as important at the same time. Okay, so once studying in a college, once going to a school, once doing A levels and GCSEs, make sure that you, even 1 hour per week, even 2 hours, just do some kind of work experience. It will make a huge difference when you apply for jobs. So with all these, with retirement age 70, and with the difference in your salary, in your income when you have a training or qualification, so it makes sense to invest in your education, training, and experience. Okay, because later in 5 years time, in 4 years time, it starts paying back and paying off, in the sense that you will have better income, you will have better opportunities to have family, to look after your children, to buy a house, to help families back home, because you have more income and more secured income, and promotion. So if you are a professional, there is always going to be a promotion, and you make progress in your job, and you apply for better jobs and with better income. Whereas if you are in entry-level jobs and non-skilled jobs, there is no promotion mechanism. You are going to stay there for forever. Any question about what I just mentioned? Is it clear about why you should invest time in your education, training, and work experience?
Hi, Amir.
Hi, Magbula, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just I'm asking for that is what's different between the loan, which is the university pay for you, or the bursary and then
Yes,
scholarship.
yes, very good question. So the
Yeah,
loan
thank you.
is same as going to a bank or going to a family member and asking for some money as a loan, as a personal loan. At the end, you need to return it, you need to pay it back, okay? So when you apply for a student loan here in the UK, every year they give you some money for tuition fee and some money for your personal maintenance fees. And then when you finish university and you start working, if you don't work, you don't need to pay back. But if you start working and your salary is above a certain level, okay, you need to start paying off in a small installments. So probably it depends on your salary, but every month you need to pay probably £50, £60 back to the student finance, because they need to keep that money circulating for other students. So that's loan. You have the loan, you spend that for your tuition fee, your maintenance, and then when you start working and your salary is above a threshold, so if you're not making enough money, or if you don't have job, you don't need to pay. But if you find a job and that's a good job, and you get enough, you earn enough money, you start paying small amount every month. For undergrad currently is if you have like an average kind of job, it's about 50, 60, 70. So it's not a massive thing. Don't be worried about paying back. But loan, you need to pay back. However, if you have a scholarship, you don't need to pay back. It's like a reward. It's like a grant. And it's like a present. If you go to a family member gives you something for your birthday, you don't need to give that to return that present. So that's the difference between, and bursary is the same. Bursary is kind of payment for you that you don't need to return most of the time. So that's the difference between loan and a scholarship. Unfortunately, for undergraduate and for masters, it's very difficult to find a scholarship and bursary. It's most of the scholarship here in the UK. These are for PhD and doctorate courses. However, there are some jobs, because they need people for those jobs. They try to make it more interesting, and they try to make some incentives for people to go and do those trainings and qualifications. So mainly for teaching and becoming a nurse. So these are two jobs that you can have bursary for undergrad. So if you decide to become a teacher, there are government bursaries or scholarships to become a teacher. And if you decide to become a nurse, NHS, they give you small bursary just for maintenance, so you don't need to be worried about the basics, and you can study to become a nurse and you don't need to return that money. Does that make sense, Makbula?
It makes sense now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
But generally speaking, don't be worried about if you can have scholarship or bursary that you don't need to return. That's absolutely fine, and that's even better. For sanctuary scholarships, if you get that scholarships as an asylum seeker or refugee, you don't need to return. But even if you go through student finance, don't be worried, because it's not going to take you like huge amount of money every month. It's nothing. It's just like 50-60 pound every month if you earn good money. If you stop working, you stop paying back. Okay, so currently, and this is from January 2023, as you can see, the job market is quite good at the moment in the UK, and it's been good in the last 2 years, and it's predicted that it's going to still remain good in the next couple of years. So currently we have more than 1 million job vacancies here in the UK, which means they need 1 million more people to apply for these jobs. And the unemployment rate is quite low in the UK. So it's just in January 2023, it's been 3.7, which is kind of low unemployment rate, which means more people are in work than many other countries. So with that low unemployment, we still have many vacancies, many jobs that companies, businesses are looking for people to recruit for, which means if you have the training, if you have the qualification, if you have the experience, finding job is not going to be an issue. And then in the last few years, there has been increase in the pay rise. So the salaries, the income salaries are higher than a few years ago. However, unfortunately, because of the inflation, that increase in salary doesn't mean that you can buy more with your money, because everything now is more expensive. But the point that I'm trying to make is there are, as you can see, around 1 million job opportunity, especially for people with qualification, with experience, and with the skills. And that's why I try to encourage you thinking about at least going to university for a year or going to college for a year, because that makes a huge difference. That's like a key which opens that door to 1 million or almost 1 million job opportunities here in the UK. And that's the difference that I'm talking about is huge. So if you have a level 2 qualification, okay, it's like there are 1,000 job available, but as you move from level 2 to level 3 or level 4, which is like A level or BTech, from 100,000, you have 500,000, okay? You have 5 times more job opportunities. So make sure that if you are looking for more opportunities and better opportunities for better income, even 1 year in doing apprenticeship, doing BTech, doing NVQ, that's a key to many more and better opportunities. And again, just some general information about job market. As you can see, the very first one at the top, it shows you that employment rate has been going up since 2006. There has been a slight decrease because of COVID, because during COVID, many businesses, they had to close down. But again, it's taking off. So we have high employment rate, which means more people are successful in finding jobs. Unemployment rate going down, which means, again, less people are jobless, more people are in work, and we have more job vacancies at the same time. So, which means very good opportunity for many of you to do some kind of training and start working. So job finding is not going to be an issue if you have the skills. I want you, again, one common question that students keep asking me is about what kind of jobs and what is better for me to study in university or in college or for job training and so on. First of all, do whatever you like. Okay, so it, as I always say, it's difficult to become successful in a job that you don't like it. So first of all, try to understand what are the jobs that you would like to do for the rest of your life, because you are going to stay in that job for 20, 30, 40 years, depending on your age. But just to give you some ideas about jobs of future, these are the main, not all, but I just picked some of the sectors that there are going to be more opportunities in these sectors. So and these are just randomly ordered. It doesn't mean that we need more food technologists than medical practitioners. So all of them are going to be important with many opportunities in the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. So food technologists and scientists, okay? So anything about food, agriculture, food manufacturing, food processing, diet, and those kind of things, these are going to be extremely demanding in future, because now we need more food for people. Many areas of the world, they're struggling with having enough food. So food manufacturing, food engineering, these are going to be important. And people are more, in some areas of the world, like in more wealthy areas like Europe and America, people are more conscious about what they eat. So food scientists, dietitians are going to be kind of jobs required in future. Any kind of IT related jobs, especially cybersecurity and IT developers, programmers, coders, app developers, website developers, IT designers, IT engineers, cybersecurity experts, all of these jobs and many more jobs within that sector are going to be successful in future. Anything about well-being, as I said, more people are, especially in Western countries, more people are conscious about their health and about their well-being and about being more active, living healthy, and so on. So anything about well-being, fitness, and sports is going to be successful in future. So, and again, these are like for well-being and fitness trainer, fitness instructor, or sports scientist, there are many opportunities out of university. So you can do BTECs, you can do apprenticeship, or you can do NVQs for those kind of jobs. So you don't need to necessarily to go to university. So many of those jobs could be learned through vocational qualifications. Care, health, and social work. Okay, care workers, social workers, and welfare professionals. And when I talk about these jobs, some of them they could be entry-level jobs with not good payments. But the point is, if you start those jobs, you are going to be on pathway to promotion. So you can start as entry-level care worker, and over time, with experience, with training, you become a social worker. And over time, in probably in 5, 6, 7 years time, when you do your trainings, when you have your qualifications, you can become a welfare professional. And then over time, you're going to have more income. So don't think that, like, if you start as a fitness trainer in a local gym, there are opportunities for you to make progress as you add to your experience and as you go through training. Engineers and programmers, most of the technical engineering jobs are going to be successful in future. Teachers, as I mentioned, we always need teachers, okay? Teachers and nurses are two kind of jobs that always going to be needed anywhere in the world. So it doesn't, if you have a teaching degree or if you have a nursing degree from UK, you can work in many more countries, in many countries beyond UK. So you can easily go and find a job in Dubai or finding a job in Canada or moving to France. So teaching and nursing, because you speak English as well. So you are going to become like an international workforce. And lastly, medical practitioners and nurses, midwives, nurses, pharmacists, doctors. These are the kind of jobs very demanding in future. Any question about jobs? There are the previous slide. These are the jobs of future anywhere. Okay, it's not about UK. It's the jobs for the global market. So if you have any of these degrees in any of these sectors, you can work anywhere in the world, or in most countries in the world. But when it comes to UK, these are the jobs that UK, there is a shortage for these kind of skills and professions here in the UK. So architectural and engineering activities. So anything about architecture and engineering, any qualification, any job training, any university course, if you have interest, do it, okay? There are job opportunities, there are demand out there for you. Computer programming, education and becoming a teacher, employment and HR, financial services, being an accountant, human health activities, again, healthcare, social care, nurse, GP, sports scientist, fitness instructor, all of them are going to be important. Legal and accounting services, office administrative, business managers, business workers, public administration, residential care, care workers, social workers, welfare professionals, retail, supermarket workers, supermarket managers, and all their jobs in supermarket and retail sector, and social work. So in the UK, especially, like some of you may still waiting for your asylum case to be processed, and if you have work permit as an asylum seeker, you are familiar with the skills shortage list, and these are the skills shortage list that even asylum seekers with work permit, they can start working in these sectors. So start thinking of what jobs are going to be more demanding, successful, and there are more opportunities and better income in the future. Any question?
I do.
Go on, Fatima.
Do the IT count as shortest list on the staff? Computer programming.
Yeah, programming. Do you mean computer programming?
I know for the asylum seeker, the question is for asylum seeker, does it count as the shortest list on staff?
It is on the shortage, yeah. It is on the skills shortage. So this okay. Slide, I got this slide, it comes from the UK government skills shortage list. Okay, so if you have IT qualification and if you have work permit as an asylum seeker, you can start working in those sectors even before having your refugee status.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 10 minutes break before we start talking more about how to enter. Now we know the job market. So the next part would be about how to enter the job market and different ways that you have into the job market here in the UK. So take 10 minutes and come back 11. Okay, everyone. So before going through the second part, I just had a conversation with Hassan about teacher training. So one thing that I would like you to have in mind is many of the things that I share with you is not for this year or for next year, okay? It's for your long-term planning. Many of you may not be in that stage of a starting university course. You still need to learn language. You still need to go through IELTS, ESOL, A-levels, GCSEs, or whatever. That's absolutely fine. You can start becoming a teacher next year, or in 2 years' time, or in 3 years' time. The most important thing is to have that plan of, okay, I would like to become an engineer. This year, I'm going to learn English. Next year, I'm going to do some GCSEs, A-levels, and in 3 years' time, I'm going to go to university to become an engineer, okay? Just have that short, mid, and long-term plan, and these are not going to change, okay? The way that you become a teacher, the way that you become an engineer, the way that you apply for university, the way that you apply for jobs, they are going to be still the same as today. So next year you can come back to these slides and find out more about how to become a teacher. But just have these options in mind when you apply, when you are planning for your future. Okay, now we are going to talk a bit more about how to enter the career market here in the UK, because for many of you, or for almost every one of you, you would like to do a university course, you would like to do a college course, you would like to learn language, you would like to have some training in order to have a job, okay? I don't think there is one person here who doesn't want to find a job. Whatever we do, all these activities, learning, training, language, and everything, it's the main purpose is to find a job. How we can, and I showed you that there are many job opportunities here in the UK, million at the moment, but how to start? So there are 4 main ways of starting a job and entering that career market here in the UK, and it depends on you, and it depends on the kind of jobs and career that you are planning to enter. So the first thing is just entering a sector, entering a profession, entering a job, entering the job market by experience, learning by doing. And for many jobs here in the UK, this is possible to start working in those jobs without going to university or without going to college. If you go to university, if you go to college, you have more options and it would be easier to progress, and it takes you less time to progress in those kind of jobs. But even if you decide not to go to university, you can start jobs just by experience. And for many jobs, it's more important to have experience than degrees. So for instance, if you would like to work in retail, okay, if you are interested in working in retail, for instance, working in supermarkets, or working in department stores, or working, I'm not sure, for B&Q or for IKEA or for these kind of retailers, you don't need to go necessarily to university. You can apply for an entry-level job as a customer assistant. And then over time, after 6 months, after a year, when you have more experience, you can you can become the shift manager. And in few years time, with more experience, you can become the store manager. And in few years time, if you show that skills, if you show that qualities, you can make more progress, increase your income, and having better jobs. Okay, so depending on the job, starting by even for teaching, you can start teaching just as an experience. Just go to school. I know many people, they work as teacher assistant or teaching assistant, and they are just having that experience, and over time they can have better jobs in teaching. So if university is not for you, if you don't have time for university, and depending on the jobs, if the job that you're applying for doesn't need university qualification, you can start by doing some work experience and making progress later. However, for some kind of jobs, like if you want to become a solicitor, or if you want to become a nurse, it's not possible, almost, or it's very unlikely to start that job without having training and qualification. If you want to become a social care worker, so you don't need that much, or you can start without university qualification. So probably you do 2 days, 3 days a week, or 2 weeks of training, and you can start off as a care worker. But if you want to become a nurse, you need to go to university. So again, it depends on the job that you're planning to do. For some kind of jobs, again, you don't need to go to university, but you need some kind of qualification and vocational training. So for instance, if you want to become an electrician or a gas engineer, or you want to become a personal trainer working in a gym, for those kind of jobs, you need to show that you have had some kind of trainings. And you don't need to go to university necessarily, but you need to do like at least 1 year or more of apprenticeship, BTECs, and NVQs. Again, depending on the nature of the job. For some kind of jobs, you need to go to university. So if a company, they are recruiting a data scientist or a computer engineer, you need to show that you have that computer engineering degree. So you need to go to university. And having some work experience as well. And for some kind of jobs, you can start your own business. So if you want to have, for instance, if you have some experience in creating websites, okay, in website design, you can have your own company. You don't need to go to university. You don't need to work for anyone. You can have your own company, start a business, having orders from customers and designing their web pages and charging them for your service. So that's self-employment or entrepreneurship. So these are the 4 main ways, okay? So in any job that you are thinking of, you need to find which one of these is your way to that job. I'm going to show you later on National Career Service. In fact, I'm going to show you now on National Career Service. Can you see the National Career Service on the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we've talked about National Career Service in the past sessions, mainly about finding a course. And I kind of suggested that it's a good place if you go through finding a course, it's a good place to find a BTECs, apprenticeship, NVQs, and all the rest of it. A very good function of National Career Service is explore careers. Okay, so here you can find information about more than 800 careers in the UK, and the way that you can enter that career, whether you can enter through experience, through vocational education, through university, or through entrepreneurship. Or for some jobs, there are more than 1 or 2 ways to enter that kind of job. So I suggest you, if you have some ideas about what kind of jobs you want to apply for or you want to pursue in future, go through career service. This time, choose for explore careers or search job profiles. Here, you have a list of careers based on the category. So administration, animal care, healthcare, transport, social care, delivery and storage, creative media, and everything. If you know which sector you want to enter, just choose any of these links. If you don't know, just search for a job. Just give me an idea of what you want me to search for. Anything that you are interested.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity. Okay, when you start typing, it gives you some information about what kind of job profiles they have. So when I typed cyber, there are at least there are two main job profiles. Excuse me, cyber security professional and cyber intelligence officer. So you can click on each of these to find more information. So in this case, which one do you want to go with, Fatima?
Intelligence.
Okay, let's try cyber intelligence officer. So if you search for cyber intelligence officer, it shows you that there are more than 158 jobs under that category, under that label of cyber security officer. So most of and this is one good thing, because in many countries, we don't have the variety of the jobs that we have here in the UK. Or job titles could be different. Probably I'm not sure, in Sudan, everything is just cybersecurity officer. But in the UK, there are 10, 20, 30, 50 different jobs under that label with different names. So for instance, we have cyber intelligence officer, intelligence analyst, Royal Marines officer, and this is someone who works with intelligence in Army, in Royal Marines, merchant Navy deck officer, someone who works in maritime, in shipping industry, Army officer, heritage officer, so someone who works with intelligence inheritance, education officer. So all of these jobs are the jobs, or local government officers, so people who work with intelligence in local government. All of these jobs are somehow related to cyber intelligence officer. So if you go and study something about cyber intelligence, you have more than 100 different jobs to apply for. Okay, so that's the first good thing about this service of National Career Service. It gives you some ideas about what kind of jobs and the name of jobs, because sometimes people are looking for jobs, but they don't know what is the name that they are looking for in the UK. They just search for mechanical engineer. However, there are 50, 60 different jobs under mechanical engineering that you don't know the name for. So this website, it helps you to find those names first of all, so that then you can find more information. So if I want to go with the first one, which is the cyber intelligence officer, okay, it gives you some basic information. So the main thing is about salary. If you become a cyber intelligence officer, most of the time the starting salary, depending on your level of education, could be around 25. Okay, so if you start with a master's degree, your starting salary will be higher. If you start with just starting after graduation from university, your starting salary would be, but it's not less than 25. And over time, and the more experienced you are, you can increase to around 50,000 in that job. If you apply for other jobs or managerial jobs, it can be higher than that. And it gives you some information about what is the job about. So cyber intelligence officer gather information about where threats to information technology systems come from and how they work. So that's the main function of a cyber security or cyber intelligence officer in any organization. They can work for army, they can work for local government, they can work for businesses. in more than 158 jobs. Then when you click on any of those jobs, almost whatever information you need will be available. So let's try this one. Again, the salary, usually a starter is 25, experienced is 50, working hours and all the rest of it. The most useful part is the part which shows you how to become. And for any other job that you search for on National Career Service, there is a how to become part. And this is the most important part for you when it comes to planning. So how to become a cyber intelligence officer. When I click on this sign, it's going to show me the different ways to get into this role. If you remember, I told you there are 4 main ways: experience, vocational training, university course, self-employment. Let's see, if you want to become a cyber intelligence officer, how to become. Here it says you can go to university, you can do an apprenticeship, you can do by experience, or you can go through a graduate training. Okay, so now you know, if you want to become, like for Fatima, if she wants to become a intelligence officer, there are 4 main ways: university, vocational apprenticeship, experience, and training scheme. And then later it shows you more information about each of those 4. So if you want to go to university to become an intelligence officer, these are the courses that you can choose. You can do computer science, you can do cybersecurity, you can do math, you can do network engineering. So when Fatima searches UCAS for courses, these are the courses that she needs to choose in order to become a cybersecurity officer or cyber intelligence officer later after graduation. And these are entry requirements. So you need to have A-levels or equivalent, or if you are applying for postgraduate, you need to have a relevant undergraduate. And if you decide to go to university, there are more information here. So equivalent entry requirements. So if you are not from the UK, you can see, let me show you this one, what equivalent, like if it says level 3, these are all the equivalent level 3 qualifications that they accept. However, if Fatima decides not to go to university, she wants to do like a vocational training, so there are apprenticeship opportunities available. So you can go through cybersecurity technologist higher apprenticeship or cybersecurity technical professional degree apprenticeship. And the entry requirements are GCSE, like level 2 qualification. So you need to have like a high school diploma. And more information. If Fatima decides, no, I don't want to go to university, I don't want to go to college, I want just to start working, you can just apply for entry-level jobs with companies, and then you can learn experience through working for companies. And when you get more experience, you can apply for more jobs. However, the difference between doing university course, apprenticeship course, and working by experience and learning by experience, first of all, is time. And the second one is the money. So when you start your job with university degree, you start with a higher money income. And it takes you less time to make promotion and make progress in that job. If you start without any degree, if you start just with work experience, it takes you more time and you start with less money. So then there are more information. Just if you click on any of these links, you can find more information about, there is a National Cybersecurity Center. You can find more information about different jobs. There is a cybersecurity service, MI5, if you would like to work for those kind of employers, and there is a UK Cybersecurity Council, again, giving you more information and advice about the sector. If you are under 17, there is a program. I don't think anyone here is under 17, but I want you to see what kind of and the amount of information that you can get just from National Carrier Service. Then the next part, the next question after how to become, is what it takes. So in order to become a cyber intelligence officer, you need to have these skills. Okay, so these are the skills, and usually these are the skills that you learn when you go to university or when you do your training and work experience. So you don't need to have them now, but these are the qualification and skills that you learn in university, in training, before applying for jobs. Then the job, the day-to-day tasks of an intelligence officer are these. Okay, so you are in charge of identifying common weaknesses in IT networks and all the rest of these bullet points. So the website gives you detailed information about day-to-day tasks of someone who is an intelligence officer, and later how you make progress in that job. Okay, so you can make progress in this role and similar opportunities. And then another interesting part, very end, you can find current opportunities. Okay, so now you have all the information, and Fatima, she's decided to do a cybersecurity course. Then at the end, it shows you most of the current opportunities. So there is, at the moment, like we have in London, there is a cyber and analyst apprenticeship, and as you know, apprenticeship is paid, and the starting salary is £20,000. Or there is another one in Bristol, cybersecurity degree apprenticeship, and starting salary is above £21,000. If Fatma decides that she wants to do some courses and go to university, it shows you, and then so just going back to apprenticeship, these two are not the only ones. If you click on find apprenticeship near you, it shows you tens of different apprenticeships in cybersecurity in different areas of the country. If you decide to continue your education to become a cybersecurity officer, at the moment in Hales, well, I'm not sure what is Hales Owen. There is a foundation diploma. Then you can go and do that foundation diploma and go to university, or certificate in cybersecurity practices in Bridgewater. And if you click on find courses near you, here it gives you more information about courses in cybersecurity based on your postcode. And if you decide to apply for jobs, then you can go and find the job service, which we talk about later in next week's session about how to apply for jobs. But my main point is, if you have any question, if you would like to know how to enter any kind of job here in the UK, this is where you need to go. Okay, so you need to go to National Carrier Service first. Then you need to go search for job profiles. Second, here you need to search for any job that you are thinking of or you are interested in. Like for teacher, there are loads of teaching opportunities, like someone who wants to become an early years teacher, working in nurseries, working with like children in earlier school. Just click on search, and then you see early years teacher. There are more than 142 job titles linked to early years teacher. And if you decide to become an early year teacher, it shows you the starting salary, the salary for experience, but there are two main points: how to become an early year teacher. There are two ways to early year teacher: university or by work experience, and shows you more information. And then if you decide to do any of them, current opportunities, it shows you like the current courses available for you to apply for. Do you have any question, Fatma? Because you had your hands up.
No, thank you. I've answered my question.
Okay, great. So I'm hoping that you can see how important and informative and useful National Career Service is, because with that, you don't need someone like me. You can just come ask questions, but anything that you want, or most of the thing that you want in this stage of life for planning, you can find it on National Career Service. So make sure that you make good use of it and make good, because everything is structured, how to become, what to do, the next step, and then the current opportunities. And then look into the entry requirements and try to meet those entry requirements. Any question?
No, that's all right. I'm going to leave in a few minutes. Thank you very much. That's really an eye-opening.
I'm glad that it was useful for you. You can watch the video later and make sure that you spend enough time just working with National Career Service. Next week, I'm going to talk about the third part of the National Career Service. So we talked about finding a course. This time we talked about exploring careers. Next time it's about a skills assessment. Next week is about a skills assessment and how to find a job using National Career Service. Any question?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. So let me see. I think that was the end of my slides. Okay, so that was the end of the slides for today. As I said, next week we are going to, now we know education, we know higher education, further education, vocational training, and we know different ways to find jobs and to prepare yourself for jobs through education, higher education, further education, experience, and self-employment. Next week, we start talking about the job application and job findings and how to plan, starting from entry-level jobs to more advanced, more senior level jobs, and then how to work alongside your study. For many of you, it's important, especially if you are not that young, so you need to study and you need to have some work experience at the same time to improve and to increase your chance of having job opportunities after graduation. So next time I start talking more about how to plan for your work experience and how to plan for your career progress when studying for language, when studying for college courses, or studying for university courses. I'm going to stop